You know what that sound means? It's another episode of Game for a Movie where we ask, are you game for a movie? I'm your host, Mike. I am joined by
Andre.
Jill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did it,
Good job.
friends.
Good job.
Also, that sound means it's a new year.
It is a new year, yes. And I was going to say, it's not just Game for a Movie today. We are Game for a Movie, TV show, video game, because we are doing the best media of 2021. Everything that we've taken in, we've riddled it down to lists, not necessarily in order. We're going to go as we go. We're going to loosey-goosey this, as Andre said.
Yeah. I like to keep it loose, you know.
Okay.
Loose man, Andre.
But first, to help us get a little more loose, what are we drinking? Jill, you are doing the non-alcoholic route, so we're going to go to you first.
We had a fun New Year's Eve, you know. So
collectively, our group drinks 7 bottles of champagne. So
we got through it. Yeah,
I was determined to get rid of the stash of champagne that was in our fridge.
That's fantastic.
It was that, or we play a game of Will It Saber, and Andre kept saying no.
I'm not going to saber any cocktail or any bottles inside. No champagne.
No, I don't want inside. I am drinking. It's a little behind the season now, but Harney & Sons White Christmas. This is a white tea with almond flavors in it, and it's quite good.
Almond flavored tea sounds pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie. It has a lot of things that I like.
It's a good smelling tea too.
Nice. Andre, what are you drinking over there?
So I'm drinking Dogfish Head 90-minute Imperial IPA. 90 minutes. Yeah. So we were visiting some relatives and they live within driving distance of Dogfish Head in Delaware. So I took the opportunity to go pick up some beers that I don't normally see. Like Dogfish is everywhere, but like they usually it's like the 60-minute and like a handful of other ones. We took the opportunity to grab a 6-pack of a 90-minute IPA, which I don't usually see in our liquor store shelves. So it's a good one. So it's more reliable, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, we just passed the season of 120-minute IPA.
Yeah,
and that one has some good memories for me.
Yeah, that stuff is potent.
Yeah, it is. I am drinking Discount Nachos, a double dry hopped IPA from Hoof Hearted Brewing. Hoof Hearted Brewing is in Ohio.
Oh.
Claire was just recently in Ohio. She brought me a bunch of stuff back. She also brought me Rheingeist, but I don't have big tall boys of Rheingeist. That's why I don't have any on me right now. This Hoof Hearted is a tall boy, and it's nachos in a little like quarter dispenser.
Look at that! Logo. Oh, yeah, I love the can.
Andre, you know what you should have brought? Well, we gave it to a person, but you should have done the pickle beer.
I can't. Oh God, we had a fine. All right, let's rattle off our beers of 2021. I would say that the pickle beer. What is it from? Oh my God, I need to properly credit
looking it up again.
Yes,
pickle beer.
We happened upon a pickle sour. It literally tasted like pickle brine. Yeah.
See,
it was
so.
Dogfish had a pickle beer apparently at one point.
Oh, geez.
In my advent calendar with the beer, they had a cucumber sour.
That sounds nice, though.
That sounds better than the pickle sour.
No,
that was really good.
Crisp and refreshing. Like I love pickles. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want to drink a beer out of it. You know,
right?
Like
I don't. Beer, Ohio. We have a video we can share.
It's
I'll share to Mike. Maybe Mike will share it to the world. Oh, it's Urban Artifacts pickle.
Urban Artifacts Christmas pickle, Xmas pickle. It was not very Christmassy themed, and hey, it was what it was on the label, you know. It's what it's sold.
He's downright speechless from this experience.
Yeah, right. I'm gobsmacked by how bizarre it is. But
I'm gonna share the video with Team Mike in our chat so you can enjoy it.
And then I'll if I can find a way, I'll share it with the world so you can see the pickle beer. Yeah, pickle beer.
That was the thing that happened.
Probably wouldn't make our top lists of the year of 2021, but we will go over what did. Now, we said media, which can be anything in this category. Technically, music counts too, but we're not really a music podcast. But if anybody has music, go ahead. You can do that too. We said movies, TV shows, video games. That's the clarification. I don't know about you. I didn't make this clarification. I picked things that exclusively came out in 2021.
Okay. So see,
that
I'm already
does
going to
not
cheat.
need to be for everybody.
I'm already going to cheat, and it's stuff that I consumed in 2021. It's all very recent, though.
That's fair, because like season 2 of Ted Lasso was excellent. I left it off the list since it came out earlier. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Oh wow, you're right. It did come out early.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying is, for me anyway, I'll make that clarification. For you guys, I never said that. So it does not matter. Whenever you watched, as long as you watched it in 2021 or consumed it in 2021.
Okay.
I can do that. I've got one thing in particular that's coming to mind that definitely did not come out in 2021, but I played it in 2021.
Yes.
Technically one of mine splitting hairs too, but I'll explain when we get there.
Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and launch into my first one, and I'll explain why it gets in on a technicality.
So this is wait for clarification. This is 100% things you liked, or is this like an honorable mention item?
I mean, well, I guess to open up for me, when I think of 2021 in terms of my gaming, habits, this was the year of the PS5 for me. So I was lucky enough to get a PS5 around February of 2021, because those things were Mike's giving me the bird over the Zoom because they're so goddamn hard to find, right? So there was no way I was going to be playing a PS5 in 2020. I wasn't able to snag the pre-orders. So February 2021, I got PS5 showed up at our doorstep from Walmart, and it was awesome. It comes with a pack-in game that I want to give a shout out to called Astrobot's Playroom, and I don't think enough people are talking about it because it's such a
not enough people have a PS5 yet.
That's a good point. All right, you're right. But like when they like I don't know, I feel like people like whatever. Yeah, you're absolutely right, because not enough people have a PS5. But when you get it,
when you get your hands on one of those,
I'm ready for Astrobots.
Well, so it's such a it's well, right, yeah, like what the heck is an Astrobot? So it's just a small like little 4-hour long platformer that just is a total love letter to the PlayStation like brand, and that sounds lame as hell, but it's I find myself being super nostalgic for these old games that I didn't know I had this nostalgia for. It really tapped into something that I only kind of feel for Nintendo properties. And it was kind of when I realized like, wow, like PlayStation's been a part of my life since the PS2 back in the early 2000s. And so that's been a huge part of my childhood. So basically it's just like little mini platformer levels, but the whole conceit is that you're this little robot guy and you're like exploring different parts of the PlayStation 5 itself. So you'll go to the fans, you'll go to the GPU.
Cool. Yeah.
And then like, you'll see other little robots like doing poses from famous PlayStation games. And then you'll find, they call them artifacts, and it's just, peripherals that Sony's had put out for the PlayStation. Like you'll find the PS2 iToy, or like the PlayStation Move controllers, or like an old PS1 memory card or something. And it's just something so fun about just, collecting these little trophies and having them in this little virtual room where you can have this little mini museum of PlayStation gadgets. It's
that's cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's cute. Hopefully you guys can get a PS5 soon. I don't know.
Hopefully.
Chip shortage is still hitting rough.
So you took me on the nostalgia trip, so I will jump into one of my honorable mentions. I needed to give an honorable mention to this because I've been playing it a lot lately. Mario Party Superstars.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that's on my. I just wrote down some video game ones, and that's on one of mine.
Yeah, that's on my list just for pure nostalgia factor. The old boards, the old games, like everything about it has brought me back. And like I had the N64, Mario Party 2. This is definitely right up my alley. So it's been a lot of fun to play these. So it is on my honorable mention list. It wasn't good enough to make the top 10 list, because I do have a full top 10 list.
I agree with that. It's great. I would not call it. Well, it's telling that I completely forgot to put it on my list. We have it too. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah. Mario Party came out. Oh man. They did the right thing in that they finally realized they just needed to put out the old maps.
Exactly. Right.
And the games are still fun. And I mean, Jill and I have played a couple of rounds, but we definitely need to play more of it. Mario Party 2 is my favorite as well. So
an honorable mention in video game land that I'll throw out is in the same vein, the Mario Golf that came out this year.
Oh yeah, Mario Golf Super Rush.
Super Rush.
Super Rush.
We've never actually played the Super Rush.
Well, right. I know. I feel bad.
We like the golf, the actual golf games.
I feel like we're super boring. We're not gonna play the dumb Super Rush mode. We're gonna play boring ass golf. Damn it.
And this is why it's an honorable mention, because we technically haven't played the full game, but me and Andre get a lot of amusement playing 9 or even full 18 rounds of golf, especially now that they have fixed some of our biggest gripes, which was mainly that the AI was drunk the whole time. Now you can toggle difficulty from the AI, which makes such a big difference. And they've added in a bunch of courses since the game dropped for free, which is fantastic. And when we were over in Ohio for Thanksgiving, we played a game of golf, and his uncle, who's a big golf guy but not really big in the video games, was very into it. Nice. He was riveted. So it's really fun for the whole family.
So it's actually on my top 10 list. It is number 7 on my list.
Wow,
so,
nice.
Mario Golf Super Rush on my list because it's been fun. It's been a great time. I wish you guys would play the story because the story is actually a lot of fun.
Andre's played some of the story, I think.
I have, yeah. I got through like 3 of the courses, I think, whatever. Like I got to like the 4th level or whatever, the 4th new home, and I don't know, I tapped out, but maybe I'll go back to it. I don't know.
It's a very short story. Like you're not far from the end. It's
Am
like
I not?
2 or 3 more courses left.
Gotcha.
So it's really, it's not like a long story or anything like that. You can play through it in pretty much like 2-3 days. It's never meant to be that long. But definitely the multiplayer is the crux of it and been a lot of fun. So yeah.
So you did an honorable. Andre did an actual item. You did an honorable mention. Do you want to break into your top 10?
I can break into my top 10. So I'll break into my top 10 with number 10. Number 10, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. We've talked about it on the show before. A lot of people have listened to that episode, so I won't dive into it because we have talked about it. Love the villain. Love this intro story. This is one of my favorite solo heroes that we've had in a while. And especially with a year that had Black Widow, which was very disappointing, and Eternals, which was disappointing, which we may get into later. This was a very bright spot for Marvel. Of course, we're big Marvel fans here. So that is my number 10 on my list.
I feel I need to rewatch it because I enjoyed it greatly, but I was also pretty blitzed when I saw it, not gonna lie. And I think I said as much when we talked about it on the show, right? But it was I had a great time because that was kind of we ended up skipping Black Widow, so that was kind of like the first superhero movie. Well, I guess first MCU movie rather that we watched, post pandemic or whatever. And it was fun. It was fun to be in a Marvel movie, be in the theater watching a Marvel movie, having fun again. It was great.
So you bring that up, and I don't mean to shit on it, but is Black Widow the most skippable MCU
we haven't
movie?
seen it,
I don't know because I haven't watched
say yes.
it. So
I would say pretty much. I do think from what the rumors I've heard on the internet, there are some things that happened in Black Widow that may have weight in Hawkeye, but we haven't finished Hawkeye, so we haven't encountered that yet. But I think so. I think
what
next to
episode
the
are you in
Hulk,
Hawkeye?
We're like literally in
4,
episode 3. 4. Yeah, 4. Yeah,
okay.
So we're not that far.
Okay.
Out of 6.
we're not going to talk about this now, but okay. Yes, there are some things that affect it, but not greatly.
That's good.
Yeah, there's
that it sounds like it is skippable.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Jill, you have not touched an actual item on your list.
No, I have not.
Yeah.
So I did an honorable mention. I'll do something that for my top 10 that actually came out in 2021. This will be the only music item that I'll at least talk about, but I have to do it. It's going to be Taylor Swift's re-release of her album Red that came out right at the end of the year. now I can't even remember if it was November or December. Time is a flat circle, as they say. But it was great to have it out. My Peloton instructors really embraced it because now there are all these Taylor Swift rides, and it's great. And as someone who's kind of late to the Taylor Swift game, rediscovering her or discovering her older work has been really exciting because you kind of get to see her trajectory into where she is now. And then hearing her re-record these albums from an older standpoint, because she is older, it adds new weight to a lot of songs
Nice.
that, you know, she was singing about when she wrote them when she was like 16, 17, and now she's singing them
Right.
as a 31-year-old. And, you know, some stuff still sounds like, you know, what would come out of a 16-year-old's mind, but then others, the fact that she is older just makes it feel so much stronger. So
Right.
that's my number 10 for best
You
thing
just
of
reminded-
2021.
You just reminded me I turn 31 next month.
Yeah.
Happy early birthday.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
No, Blast What's my age again. That's what
Yeah,
matters.
right, there you go. That's what I need to do. Blast what's my age again. What's the
Right.
point going? Oh my gosh. Andre, do you have an actual one, or do you have an honorable mention you thought of?
Well, I want to do an honorable mention only because I want to talk about this. We didn't get to talk about it
Okay.
in another episode, and that is Zack Snyder's The Justice League.
That's
Yes.
an honorable mention for me.
Yeah, no, right. Like I wouldn't put it in like, oh man, this was this is one of the seminal things I experienced in 2021. But
A touchstone film.
yeah, right. I wouldn't call it
Yeah.
a touchstone for me, but it does seem like a few people see it that way. It's interesting seeing all of the widespread of reactions to this movie, right?
Snyder fans on Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
At the top of it, I'm very glad this exists. You know, I'm happy I saw it, and hey, maybe I'll even watch it again someday,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would
It's-
definitely watch it again. Like,
yeah.
without a question, I would.
It was probably the most enjoyable Zack Snyder DC film I've watched so far. I like it
Yes.
better than Man of Steel. I
I would
definitely like
agree
it way
completely with
better
that.
than
Yeah.
Batman v Superman. So, seeing his
Batman,
vision.
super dude.
Yeah, it's not good seeing
Yeah.
his vision, but like the thing is that this Justice League I feel like retroactively makes Batman v Superman a little better, because at least now that you can call it a trilogy, right? You can call Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League a cohesive trilogy at this point, right? There's some
Yeah.
cohesion there that wasn't there before, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's still goddamn 4.5 hours long, or just 4 hours, whatever.
It's like almost
hours.
4, I think.
It feels like 7, and
I'm really glad that they broke it up into chapters.
Yes.
because
Yes.
I think that's the smartest thing going for it. You can rewatch this and not have to take 4 hours.
Yes,
Especially if
and
it's
that's how we
either.
watched it, right? I think we watched it in
Right.
3 sittings.
We watched
right,
it in
Joe?
two spot in
Two.
two.
Yeah, we need
Yeah,
two.
we
You're right.
watched it into as well. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, like, it's still like, it's still Zack Snyder. If you don't like his direction, you're gonna hate this movie because it is peak Zack Snyder in
Right.
all the pros and cons that entails.
Right.
But hey, it made me like Ben Affleck's Batman a little bit more, which is saying something. It made me like Henry Cavill's take on Superman a little bit more, which is also saying something.
Yeah.
It made me remember why I liked Wonder Woman after Wonder Woman 1984
Oh my
destroyed that.
god! I
That's from
almost wish that
2020.
movie- yeah, I
I
almost
know,
wish that
that's
movie came out 2 weeks
2020.
later so we could shit on it more. It was so bad, dude. Holy moly!
Yeah.
It's the bottom of my DC list.
Yeah,
I was talking about it with my sister. It's just like, it's almost poetic how opposite direction it went
Yeah.
from the first one.
Yeah.
Going back to the Snyder cut, like I said, it's on my honorable mention. It actually made me like Cavill as Spider-Man, as Superman.
oh, that's a timeline.
Probably get to that one too, but
Cavill as
That is a timeline.
Superman, and Affleck as Batman. It also it was good for the redeeming for the Flash, and
Yep.
all of it for Victor Stone. I feel very
Yes.
bad for that actor and how he's been
Ray
treated.
Fisher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ray Fisher, but yeah, like I would happily sit down and watch that one more time. But the biggest caveat here is I still don't think that it would have saved the DC franchise if that movie had come out anyway. Like,
Right.
now people want the Snyder timeline, and I don't think DC is going to do it. But better than the Joss Whedon version by
Yes.
far.
by far. And that's what I was going to say, is that I'm glad this exists in the fact that it's just better than the Whedon version by far. And it's not in my honorable mention. It's not in my top 10, but it is definitely, I would say, in my top 20 of the year, probably, if I were to go that far. Just because it is so much better, and it is something that I would watch again. And if you're in the top 20 of any year, that's not a bad year for you, you know, or like a bad look for you. So I don't have it in my honorable mention because I stopped at 6 because I could have probably kept going forever. Hell,
And
last night,
me.
yeah, last night in Soho didn't even make my honorable mention. I thought that movie was beautiful. So
still haven't seen it.
Besides the end, but that's a different story for a different time. We've talked about that. I'm trying to not talk about things that we've actually talked about already because we don't need to talk about it anymore. Just this is why it's on my list. Here's the reasoning. Boom, done.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to get a few off my list?
Yes.
Yeah,
go for it.
Go
please.
for it. I'm crossing out things as we talk about them so I don't retread.
So number 9 is a 2-parter, but it just works together. And I think this is also why it fell to number 9. I think if it was just part 1, it probably would have slipped higher. But part 1 and part 2 of Batman The Long Halloween, the animated movie, I thought it was excellent. I thought part 2 was not as good as part 1, but it was still excellent. So that's why I say it fell to 9. I think if it was just part 1, it probably would have gone 4 or 5 on my list.
Okay.
But I'm finally so glad to see The Long Halloween has been animated and made into a movie.
Yeah.
I'm sticking on the animation. Number 8 for me was The Mitchells versus the Machines.
I finally saw it, and it's so good.
It is such a delightful movie. Like, it is just such a delight. I absolutely loved it. Everything about it was great. It actually, I did like 5 lists before I actually sat down and looked at movies and completely forgot I saw it this year. And once I saw it, I was like, no, this needs to make it on the list.
Yeah.
And I have one more animated thing before I turn it to somebody else. I'm just getting off my list, like checking things off the list.
Yeah.
Obviously, 7 I said was already Mario Golf Super Rush. Number 6 on my list, Invincible, the TV series.
Yes, we have that as well.
Yeah, it's on our list.
Another comic book series that I read that I absolutely love to see on the screen.
I remember I was like, kind of like, what is, like, because they were showing out, or they literally were just advertising it on Twitter or whatever, and you literally said on the side, like, no, like, be excited for this. This is going to be really good. And
literally, okay, so you may hear me getting out of my chair. We found my old book collection.
Oh, hell yeah.
I have old compendium.
The ultimate collection.
Ultimate collection, yeah. So this is volume 2. I have volume 1 somewhere as well. This was just right on top, so it was easy for me to grab. I have like 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Wow. And so how far did this season go in terms of those books? I want to know.
So I think there's 8 total of the ultimate collections.
Yep.
So if it was like this big, it's probably like that big.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. It covered probably 3-4 comic book lines, and there was like 64, 65 storylines.
Wow.
Or 64 like comics, you know?
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of material to work through. I would probably say it's going to be like 3 or 4 seasons at least.
Okay, that's exciting. That's really exciting.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this show is just so solid. Like, I don't know, the voice acting it just alone is great. I mean, J.K. Simmons. Not enough good things can be said about that man. He is just great as Omni-Man.
Yes.
And I don't know. I feel like I can't really talk about spoilers because I don't. Well, I think it got a lot of buzz, and I know that they got renewed for a season.
I feel like people are. I think it got the attention it rightly deserved.
There's memes out there now of the end.
Yes, that's true. Although I will say the memes spoiled the ending a little bit, right? Like, you know, but yeah, they were so good.
Think, Mark.
Yeah, think, Mark. Think. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that was a fun watch. A really fun watch.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see more.
That's why I wanted to include it on this. I felt like I just did a ton of animated. and it wasn't my intention that they would all be at the bottom of my top 10.
Well, usually
It just
we're the
happened that way.
animator, we're the animated nerds over here, right? So
Yeah.
I'm glad you're you know, you got some animation representation on there.
Exactly. No, and I love animated stuff. It's not like I don't. So it's amazing to me that I have 3 things on my top 10 list of 2021 that are animated.
I mean, my top either number 1 or number 2 item is an animated thing. Just revealing that right now, and I don't even have an order for my list.
Yeah, I don't even have. Yeah, right.
But
I have a very clear favorite that I'll save to the end so I can gush about it. But yeah. I think Jill knows what it is, but yeah.
I mean, I think you and I are aligned on what it is.
Yeah, okay.
I think you're also going to be able to guess what my number 1 is, but I'm not going to reveal that until later. So
okay, all right. Wow, I love it. We're keeping you in suspense over here. You know, you got all
keeping in suspense. Now actually seems like a great time. Let's take a quick commercial break and come back with more of Andre and Jill's lists. Just because we need to get these breaks in as well.
There you go.
Hi, everyone. This is Bowen Yang.
And Matt Rogers,
co-hosts of the podcast Las Culturistas. We're inviting you to treat yourself with the gift of pleasure.
Yes. And who better to help facilitate that pleasure gift than Trojan, America's #1 condom brand?
I love a pleasure gift from Trojan. And Trojan Ecstasy Ultra Ribbed has a unique design that actually lets you feel the pleasure and not the condom.
Now, explain this to me. Explain how this works. Elaborate.
Oh, I'd be happy to. So this condom has extra deep ribs at the base and end to increase stimulation, so you're both sure to experience ecstasy.
Dare I ask, does this condom have lubricant?
Does Taylor Swift write songs well?
I think she does.
Yeah,
She's famously a songwriter. It's what gives her an edge over the other girls.
It has an ultra smooth premium lubricant inside and out for a more natural feel.
Now tell me about the shape. I need to know about the shape.
You are a shape girl. The Trojan Ecstasy Ultra Ribbed Comfort Shape allows free movement for a more natural experience.
Well, I'm in. I'm sold. This condom is the past, present, and future.
Pick up some Trojan Ecstasy Ultra Ribbed condoms, triple tested and trusted for over 100 years.
Trojan, feel your best. Get yours on.
And we're back.
Hell yeah.
So we kept you in suspense long enough. Jill, you were just about to say, what do you got?
Yeah. So I'll come back around to some animated things that I have on my not organized list at all. But my number 9 and 8, I'm gonna kind of cheat and put them together and kind of slightly count them apart. Is the Mcu TV series, specifically WandaVision and Loki, with a nice little honorable mention to.
Oh man, you're really gonna do Falcon? Oh, you're gonna do Falcon the Winter Soldier like that? You're gonna put Falcon the Winter Soldier below What If?
No, I'm not. Wow. I mean, What If gets an honorable mention because I
Falcon
stuck
and
with
Winter
it.
Soldier get nothing.
Yeah, no, nothing. You lose.
You lose.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier is fine.
Whoa.
I don't want to say great. It's good. I enjoyed it. Suffers. This is turning into a completely different conversation. Falcon and the Winter suffers the biggest problem of they wasted the very first episode and it's already a short series. So why did you do that? And then once you hit episode 3, which is where Zemo shows up, that's when it starts its upward climb. And it's great. Until you remember that there's all these other side characters that need to be pulled in, and the main villain, the extremist girl, that was kind of an eye roll. So it's like parts of it were good, lots of parts of it were not so good. Hats off to Captain America, John Walker.
I was about to say John Walker.
I hate him, but I love him.
So good.
More with Wyatt. Wyatt Russell.
Russell, right?
Wyatt Russell. More with him.
Yeah.
So,
I absolutely love Wyatt Russell, and he's great in that role. But it's funny to me that I actually think Falcon and Winter Soldier had the best ending episode of all of them.
Yes, I would agree. Right. It ended really strongly, but it started weak.
But it's the worst of the series.
Yeah.
Besides, I don't know. I didn't really like What If. So I
grew on it. I stuck with it, and I liked how it ultimately ended, which is why it's getting the honorable mention. But WandaVision and Loki to me are the the peak MCU series of the year. Hawkeye I'm leaving off primarily just because we have not finished it, so it's not fair for me to really rank it. But WandaVision and Loki just very high up there. I like them for very different reasons. I can't really decide which one I like more. Most of the time it is WandaVision because I like those characters a lot and seeing them do different things in going through the different eras of TV is so cool. But the ending is a bit of a wet fart. Loki, on the other hand, really loved the setup, the characters, the atmosphere, the mystery, what season 2 might possibly be. But at the same time, it's been like 11, 12 years of Loki. So it's like, this is really cool. I want to see more characters interact with Loki who I haven't seen before, or I want to see what's next. And please bring back Owen Wilson.
Yes, please.
I will die if Owen Wilson does not come back. But those are my 9 and 8 and 9, duking it out up there. Okay. Thank you, Marvel, for those TV series.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Honestly, watching all those TV series throughout the year, like I expected that I would have been. I feel like I got MCU'd out when What If came out, right? Because we watched it and it didn't hit those first 2 episodes for me. So I, stopped, Jill watched the rest of it. I stopped after Cha-Cha and I was like, okay, like this is supposed to be the good one. And I was like, okay, like I think I'm good. But it's been fun to kind of have these little sides. They're not even side stories. Loki, most certainly isn't a side story at this point. But it's been fun watching it in a new format.
That's why I'm interested in hearing your opinion after you finished Hawkeye.
Yeah,
because Hawkeye definitely feels like a side story, but in a good way.
Sure,
like it's lower stakes.
Well, to that point, right? Like, so Falcon and Winter Soldier, and so those first 3 shows, Falcon, Winter Soldier, Loki, and WandaVision, those felt like appointment. They called, I think they phrased it like appointment TV viewing, where it's like you had to tune in this week, or else you're gonna get spoiled on social media. Oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? And I never ran into that with Hawkeye, which is why we're only halfway through it. But not in a bad way, right? Like we're enjoying it. It's just that, Loki especially, I think, and this is why it's kind of the favorite is Loki, that like what is going to happen.
Came out immediately.
Yeah.
Like exactly. I knew about Gator Loki before I actually saw the episode.
It was just kind of fun being part of that discourse in real time.
Something that all of this makes me think about and food for thought is whenever it comes time to do another Marvel rewatch, what does that include? Because up to Endgame, it's obviously just the movies. But when you get to the next big team up movie, be it Avengers 2.0, whatever they're going to call it, what do you do to prepare for that? Do you watch all the movies and all the TV shows, or do you just start with where Endgame left off and just the TV shows and the movies, or does it depend on who is in the movie?
I think
it's very
MCU,
interesting now.
I think the MCU is reaching a point where I think you just kind of are going to have to interact with the parts that interest you.
You can choose.
And you can choose. Like, yes, you can be the Uber fan and follow everything, but like, I think it's no longer, with the rate that they're putting out content. It's just I'm not going to say it's unsustainable, but it's more like I don't think they're designing it in such a way where you have to watch everything to understand, you have to be caught up on everything I don't think there'll ever be like an Endgame kind of movie where you need to have watched all the other MCU films before it to get the full experience out of it. I don't think that's going to happen.
I'm going to close out this list with this little note because this is the only opportunity I'm going to have to bring it up. I finally got to watch Lovecraft Country this past week and a half, and hats off to Jonathan Majors. Very excited to have him now in the MCU as, spoiler alert, as Commander Kang. Can't wait to see what else you're going to do because you're a great actor.
You could have phrased it as the one who watches, but
the one who watches.
One who watches.
Is that the one
who watches? No, it's the one who remains.
One who remains. Yeah, I was
the one who remains.
Yeah.
Regardless.
King the Conqueror.
Yeah, Kang.
Yes.
What were you calling him? Captain Kang?
Captain Kang, I said last time. Yeah, I was like, whoops.
But regardless, he's great to have him in Marvel MCU land. Looking forward to seeing what else he brings in.
Yeah.
All right, it's been too long since we talked about video games, so I want to talk about a video game that I like. I gotta give a shout out to, and this is probably one of my top 5 things this year, and it's a PS5 game. It's Returnal. Mike, are you familiar? I know Jill had to Jill had to live with me while I was obsessed with this game. Have you heard anything about this, Mike?
I have not, no.
Okay, so Returnal, it's a PS5 exclusive. So once you get one, get this for sure. It is a rogue-like shooter made by the guys who made oh my gosh, they're called Housemarque Studios. They made Resogun. They're really good at making arcadey like games. They really have that feeling of like, so like just all the games they've made so far are pretty relatively simple, high score shooting games.
Okay.
And so they have that kind of feel down, that kind of visceral, like, I just want to get, they have that kind of gameplay game feel down. And they applied it brilliantly to this roguelike sci-fi horror shooter that is brutally difficult. It's but the whole premise is that you're an astronaut, Celine, in a sci-fi future, and you crash land. You follow a signal to this remote planet called Atropos, and you crash land on it, and you're all alone. Your ship is gone, and basically all you have is your pistol. And every time you die, you immediately wake back up in the middle of this, barren wasteland alien world, and you have to start the loop again. And you kind of will pick up, you'll see you'll see corpses of Celine on other dead runs, and you pick up logs of her, and she'll you kind of like experience her mind kind of slowly unraveling due to the time loop. And it's totally my aesthetic. It's kind of like a sci-fi meets Lovecraft. All the aliens are really weird and nasty looking, and you got these awesome sci-fi weapons that feel really good to shoot. It feels really good to move around that game. It is brutally difficult though. Like you will die and you'll lose like hours of progress at times. It's just soul crushing, but it's part of the experience. I don't know. It's so good.
Well, I like death loops and stuff like that too, like Groundhog Day and Happy Death Day and stuff like that. I do like those.
This definitely for video games. This felt like the year of the time loop, because there was this game Returnal, there was Deathloop. 12 Minutes was a game where you had Outer Wilds had a DLC. There's the Forgotten City that had a time loop. This was probably my favorite. There was like
Minute too, wasn't that
Minute? Minute was not this year, but it came out last year, or
I was just gonna say,
close enough.
Yeah. This is definitely my favorite of those time loop games. It's really just it's a really brutal, difficult experience, but it's a super memorable one, and it draws a lot of inspiration from all my favorite stuff. So yeah, I would highly recommend checking it out if you can.
Thanks.
The one small shout out, and I didn't shout this out in Astro, but the game makes excellent use of the PS5's DualSense controller, and that's it has very fancy rumble, which doesn't sound great on paper, but when you're holding the controller, they flex on you right away, because you wake up like in like basically a rainy alien rainforest, and you can feel the droplets on the helmet, like on the controller, like they have that precise. It just feels good to shoot guns in that game. It's awesome. I can't recommend it enough. Returnal,
so
very good.
I have 4, I guess, related things then.
Okay.
So honorable mention, I have a video game. Hitman 3. Hitman 3, and like Hitman just has me now. Whenever they release something, they just have me now.
Agent 47.
Agent 47. I love it. Also on my honorable mention list, I have Loki and then Hawkeye, because I do like Hawkeye better than Loki. And then going to my real list, number 5, WandaVision.
WandaVision is your favorite out of all of them.
Yes,
WandaVision is just so creative.
Yes, it started off so strong.
It did not, but the start was so amazing to me. And then just the feeling of the Marvel community online with this show, since it was like the first one, and that was so much fun to be a part of from the beginning. So that's why it's so high, is because of the experience for me. Loki was fine. I loved Loki. Hawkeye, I edge it like slightly above. And then going back, Hitman 3 was on my honorable mention list, because Hitman is just so much fun to dress up, figure out all these different missions in different ways and everything like that. It's just always fun. Even to watch others play, it's just a blast.
Yeah, so. I mean, if Hitman's one of those games where I've watched it way more than I've played it. To that point, it's so much fun to watch. Just people try to scramble to it's such a. Hitman, this new trilogy, Hitman 1, 2, and 3, their tone is so perfect because it's just
It is.
the right amount of ridiculous, but also Agent 47 is so self-serious that it just plays so goddamn well. Like you're literally like throwing, like, you know, you're dressed up as a sushi chef, like throwing dead fish at people to knock them out or something. Or like
the new Berlin level is literally a nightclub where you like are just making people take bad acid and stuff. Like
right.
Oh
you're
my.
a DJ and you make the booth explode to kill somebody. Like
and there's in the new one they have like that, basically a Knives Out level, right, where you get to impersonate. It's a murder mystery, and you get to impersonate the detective, but then you get to kill one of your targets as part of the murder mystery, so you can just kill them while you're investigating the murder. It's so
then you
good.
Blame people. It's amazing. It's so much
just
fun.
so well done.
Yeah, so that's on my honorable mention as well. Just to relate that to everything we've talked about so far.
Yeah.
Jill, you got some others?
I do. So from my list, so I think this would be number 7. And I got an honorable mention to come along with this. So number 7 for me is from Amazon Prime, Clarkson's Farm. This was, I talked about this on the show over the summer, but this was a documentary series following Grand Tour / Top Gear host Jeremy Clarkson as he builds and works on this farm he owns in the Cotswolds region of the UK or England. And it's, you know, it's him shouting at farming machinery, not understanding why he cannot go fast and use heavy power to make things happen for him, because of course that's not going to work. It's hilarious. I love it. Everyone gives him shit about buying a Lamborghini tractor because he only bought it because it's a freaking Lambo and it's massive and he can't park it in his farm barn thing, and he makes messes and explodes things, and then dedicates an entire episode about how I'm going to help the environment and all the local animals. And he does some like really nice, sweet things. He tries to build a pond, makes a mess. He tries to build nests for birds, makes a mess about that. He gets bees, he makes honey. That's kind of works out for him, although he gets stung on the ass. It's great. It's hilarious. And if you're already a fan of Jeremy Clarkson from his other work, then you're definitely going to enjoy this. So the tag on item for honorable mention is the Grand Tours Lockdown series that came out in 2021 as well. There's a couple episodes that go into it, but the one that really stuck out to me was, I think, episode 3, where they are trying to figure out why American muscle cars never caught on in the UK. So they drive cars from the 1970s to nowhere land in, I think, outside of Scotland. And at one segment, they shit on the Pontiac Aztec because the challenge is to figure out what is the worst American car ever made. And so they have a couple of cars, all American. They also have some Russian cars. And the way to determine the worst car is the car that dies the first car to die. And the first car that dies as they're bashing it into each other is the Aztec. And I grew up with an Aztec. My dad loved his. I loved it. I would have inherited that car. Walter White made it cool. So watching Jeremy, Richard, and James just shit on that car was so funny. Nice. So honorable mention to Lockdown.
Andre, you got something else for us?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. I am going to pivot away from video games and instead talk about a TV show about a video game. Arcane. We got to give a shout out to Arcane. Jill and I just finished it about a few days ago. And this is kind of the surprise of the year for me because I mean, I'm not a League of Legends. So yes, we talked about it very briefly for a little bit. So our last episode, so I'll keep this short. I'm not a League of Legends guy at all. Had no idea the show was a thing until everyone started talking about it. And I begrudgingly not begrudgingly, but we're like, all right, cool, we should check this out. And it was great. I highly recommend it. You don't need to know anything about League of Legends beforehand to watch this show. It's just it's a really well animated series, I guess, right? Not much more else to say about it. excited for season 2, which they've already confirmed, and it's made me more invested in the League of Legends larger universe. It's a really good commercial for the game, I guess. It's good enough that I was like, man, I kind of want to play League, but I haven't yet, so we'll
haven't done it
worked yet. Highly recommend though. You don't need to be into games at all. It's just a really well written show with fleshed out characters, and it's really gorgeous to look at too. So yes,
nice.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm surprised you mentioned that so soon. It's really good. That's all I'll say right now.
All right, I have 2 honorable mentions, and I'll share my number 4, and then the top 3 after that is.
How are we already at top 3 for you?
Yeah, wow,
like, you're
like burning through it. I know now. Well, now I gotta.
I'm at sitting at number 6, and
yeah, well I'm knocking out the stuff that's like
up. Because literally what I'm doing is just like revealing 3 at a time. So catch up if you want to.
Okay. Buckle up then. I will catch up.
I'm ready. Let's go. Come on.
Well, you first.
Oh, okay, fine. All right. So the 2 honorable mentions I have that are remaining. One is Mortal Kombat, because I'm so happy that Mortal Kombat is back. And I love this one. I thought it was very, very good. It was better than the original, which I still have a soft spot for the original and Violet. Yes. Yeah, I know. It's probably on your worst lists. I don't care.
It's not on my worst list. It's definitely not on my worst list.
Okay, all right. The other one I have on my honorable mention, it did not crack the top 10, but it is a return to form for a series that I'm glad is there. The Suicide Squad.
We haven't seen this one yet.
Oh, you haven't seen
I haven't seen any of them.
It was one of the first movies we went back to the theaters for. Even though it was on HBO Max the same day, we decided that I decided, Claire went with me, basically said, you know what, I'm just going to go to the theaters because this is one I want to see in theaters. So the Suicide Squad, much better than Suicide Squad.
That's
James
not confusing
Gunn,
at all.
Yeah, right, exactly. James Gunn, of course. All the characters are excellent, including the new ones. Really enjoyed it. The fact that it's a freaking starfish is the main bad, it's incredible. And so it didn't crack the top 10, but I'm very glad to see it's still alive and kicking. So that is the end of my honorable mention list. Do I do number 4 or do I wait for you? Because I'm happy to wait.
If you're cool waiting, let me throw some honorable mentions.
Waiting. Let's do it.
All right, so I'm gonna. This is gonna be so unorganized. So I'm gonna start with some. I'm gonna just start with some honorable mentions, and then I'll go to numbers 4 and 5 in my my list. So honorable mentions that I want to throw out. Mortal Kombat is one of them.
Yep.
I really liked most of Mortal Kombat except for the main character.
Yes. Fair. Cole sucks ass.
I also, the big bugaboo here is there's no freaking Mortal Kombat in this movie, so it shouldn't actually be called Mortal Kombat. But
there are people that died.
But that's the Mortal Kombat is like literally the tournament, and there is no tournament. They're training for the tournament. So that's why it shouldn't be called Mortal Kombat. It should be called like something else. And then at the end, they hit you with like a fist to the face and be like, tune in next time for Mortal Kombat.
The actual tournament.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
So honorable mentions, Mortal Kombat. Another honorable mention is a TV series. This is something that Andre and I threw on to watch while we ate dinner and did not expect to get very invested. And then, my God, did we? Crime Scene Kitchen.
Yeah.
Crime Scene Kitchen brought unexpected joy.
It did, yes. It was a fun few months, and we were tuning in every week, to
watch. We enjoy trying to figure out the clues ourselves.
Yep.
And whether or not we would have missed some obvious things, like some contestants definitely were just not paying attention. So those are 2 honorable mentions. And then top that now we're in the best of list. Number 6 is
if you couldn't tell, she's organizing this on the spot.
Dude, I'm just scrolling
I am too.
through.
Like, I'm like going through my list. I'm like, okay, I'm already trimming out stuff because I feel like I'm like, oh fuck, I have to get to my top 3.
Number 6 is In the Heights. I love a music movie musical. Oh my god,
Easy
it was
for you to say.
not at all. You can just edit that out. I love
We'll put it in post.
I love a
Yes.
movie musical.
There it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
Based off of Lin-Manuel Miranda's first Tony Award-winning musical. In the Heights was vibrant, well acted, well choreographed. I watched it at home. I did not go to the theaters to see this. But if you want a film that kind of just is summer on the screen, In the Heights is that. I really had a great time watching it. I've listened to the soundtrack from both the show and the movie multiple times. I've done a Peloton ride to the music. So that was.
I didn't realize this was sponsored by Peloton.
I love my Peloton. It's
Dude, our lives are sponsored by Peloton at this point.
I love Peloton.
Yeah, she hands over to the Peloton.
When I'm on the
Oh my
Peloton, I go
God.
into this like fugue state where I'm just like thinking about other things. It's wonderful. But that's my number 6. And then number 5 is a book. We're getting one piece of literature on here. And that is Andy Weir's, I believe it's his 3rd novel, Project Hail Mary. This is the same author who wrote The Martian, which was made into a small little movie a couple years ago with a no-name
Matt
actor named Matt
Damon.
Damon. Maybe you heard of him. Project Hail Mary, I would say, is not as good personally as The Martian, both the book and the movie, but I really enjoyed reading it. I don't want there's a lot going on in it, so I don't want to spoil too much, but the basic premise is an astronaut wakes up on a ship, but he doesn't remember why he's there, doesn't know what he's supposed to do or even how he got there. And the book is him remembering the situations that brought him to this moment and then what he has to do after, what the actual mission is. And I found it to be a really great read, and I'm happy I got a copy from the library. So if you don't feel like buying a book, use your local
Go
library.
to the library.
Yeah.
So those are, now we're caught up.
Okay,
Now we're caught up.
so we're caught up. Okay, I gotta rattle off some honorable mentions then. These are going to be mostly games, but whatever. Honorable mentions to Agretsuko season 4 that we're on.
Okay.
We're about to finish it out now. I highly recommend Agretsuko. It's Hello Kitty meets an office space. It's so good. It's on Mike is very confused. It's a long running anime series. Netflix has it.
Like I think I know it, but like
I've talked about it before.
It's
Hello Kitty plus Office Space. That's an interesting combination.
So Hello Kitty herself is not in it.
Not-
It
yeah,
was
yeah, Hello Kitty's not in it.
Retsuko,
It's
a red panda.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's done by
yes.
the studio who makes Hello Kitty, right? So
Yeah.
it's very much in that vein, all talking animals, but it's
Yeah.
it's an adult office comedy instead of whatever the heck Hello Kitty is. I actually don't watch Hello Kitty. So
Little girl that wears a kitty outfit.
yes, Shin Megami Tensei 5. We talked about it, I think, a couple weeks ago, but
Did
still
we?
Bless you.
That's been great. Let's see. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart was
Rift Apart.
a fantastic game. Also, highly recommend whenever you get your PS5 to just check that out. It's basically like a playable Pixar movie at this point. It's insane.
I
how
was
good
giving
that
shit to
game was.
Peloton, but really we're sponsored by PS5.
We're sponsored by Sony PlayStation.
Peloton and PS and Sony.
Well, notice I'm talking about all these to get through it when really the Sony would definitely not pay me to talk about one of my top 4 things. And then Death's Door is is an indie game. It's kind of like a Zelda Dark Souls kind of game. You play as a cute little raven that has a little sword and a bow, and your whole it's isometric. It's a fun little Zelda game with really fun characters and really great music. Highly recommend. Just a fun little experience. Okay, we got to talk about Dune, guys. Have you seen Dune? Did you watch Dune, Mike?
Nope.
Oh, damn.
Oh. Well, we can't be friends anymore.
Well, right. Well, now I kind of just like, well, what do I say?
you just
even
took the
say
winds
about it?
out of his sails.
I know. So I mean, it tells you how excited I was for this movie. I'm a Denny
Tells
Villeneuve.
you how little I was excited about this movie.
Yeah. So I haven't read the books. I have not read a single page of the Dune series, but I am a Denny Villeneuve stan. Okay, Blade Runner 2049 is one of my favorite movies ever, and I mean, this guy just doesn't miss. Honestly, he hasn't put out a movie
I'm a
that
fan
I
of him.
don't like.
Yeah.
And so when
go
he's
ahead and
adapted,
spoil it.
what's that?
Go ahead and spoil it.
I'm not gonna. Well, there's not. Honestly,
There's not much to spoil.
well,
to be
right.
honest.
So I say one of the weaker parts of this movie is the narrative itself, which sounds damning, but like if I just gave you a Wikipedia summary of the things that happens
This is
in
on
this
your
movie,
top list.
what's that?
This is on your top list?
Yeah, this is in my top list. Yeah.
Get your damning the story?
Well, no, the story's not bad. It's just
Denny didn't write the story.
Well, that, and then
Okay.
also, like, all I'm saying is that if I gave you a Wikipedia summary of the things that happens in the plot of this movie, this specific movie, because it is just the first half of the book, you'd be like, okay, sure, whatever. But it is an audio visual experience, my guy. Like, we went to go see this in IMAX. It was awesome. I would actually say what more important part is the audio. If you ever watch this movie, I would say put on headphones or watch it with a good sound system or something, because the sound is just, like Denny has, so he just knows how to give the viewer a sense of scale for all of these crazy giant ass sci-fi ships, these battles, the giant sandworm. Oh my God. He really does a good job of pulling you into this world of Arrakis and making you feel like you are there in a different sci-fi reality almost, right? All these characters, this political intrigue, it just draws you in, and he just knows exactly how to frame a scene to just make you want to watch more on the edge of your seat. I love this movie. It was a visual masterpiece. I am so pumped that they are making a second one and potentially more, because it would be significantly harder to recommend if we didn't, like, we watched this knowing there is going to be a follow-up, right? And the movie opens with Dune Part 1.
Right.
If they didn't get a Part 2, that would significantly put a damper on things, because this movie ends right as the story is kind of ramping up, right?
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, honestly, just it's a star-studded cast, and they're all bought in, like, no one's phoning it in. Even Timothy Chalamet's not phoning it in. I think he's fine. I just don't think Paul Atreides is very interesting as a character.
He's not written to be
interesting. Exactly right. So it's not his fault, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I loved the way this movie looks. I love the way this movie sounds. And it definitely serves being on the big screen with a really great sound system. So
nice. Okay.
It's one of my favorite experiences of this year, and I will eagerly enjoy it again. And probably the plan is I'm going to read the book next year, the full first book, and then the Dune 2 or whatever, Dune Part 2 is set for 2023 at this point. So yeah.
You're better than me. I planned on reading a book a month this year. Guess how many books I got done this year?
1? Damn,
9? Do you want some book recommendations? 2021 was the year I rediscovered reading.
I just don't read.
Well, I don't know how to read either, man.
You just gotta find the thing that, like, to see. Try Project Hail Mary. It was very good.
All right.
Hi, everyone. This is Bowen Yang.
And Matt Rogers,
co-hosts of the podcast Las Culturistas. We're inviting you to treat yourself with the gift of pleasure.
Yes. And who better to help facilitate that pleasure gift than Trojan, America's #1 condom brand?
I love a pleasure gift from Trojan. And Trojan Ecstasy Ultra Ribbed has a unique design that actually lets you feel the pleasure and not the condom.
Now, explain this to me. Explain how this works. Elaborate.
Oh, I'd be happy to. So this condom has extra deep ribs at the base and end to increase stimulation, so you're both sure to experience ecstasy.
Dare I ask, does this condom have lubricant?
Does Taylor Swift write songs well?
I think she does.
Yeah,
She's famously a
so.
songwriter. It's what gives her an edge over the other girls.
It has an ultra smooth premium lubricant inside and out for a more natural feel.
Now tell me about the shape. I need to know about the shape.
You are a shape girl. The Trojan Ecstasy Ultra Ribbed Comfort Shape allows free movement for a more natural experience.
Well, I'm in. I'm sold. This condom is the past, present, and future.
Pick up some Trojan Ecstasy Ultra Ribbed condoms, triple tested and trusted for over 100 years.
Trojan, feel your best. Get yours on.
All right, I'm going to do 4 and 3.
Okay.
4 and 3 on my list. Top 10. Summer of Soul, number 4. Which was,
I didn't get to see that. I wanted to.
It's on Hulu. It's so recommend it. It's the Harlem Culture Festival. It is the unaired footage that was basically hidden away forever. Questlove got his hands on it. He directed it. Majority of it's just a concert of just music that you can just groove to.
Sure.
The rest is social commentary on the time. And one of the lines that still sticks with me today that I hope you guys will watch it and enjoy. They asked people at this festival, because it was right around the time of the moon landing, how do you feel about the moon landing? And the one guy goes, why do I care about rich people going to space? We've got problems here.
Ooh.
And it still resonates today, especially with Elon Musk flying Michael Strahan to space for no reason other than he can say he went to space and blah, blah, blah. It's such a good line. Such a good movie. Highly recommend. And number 3, we didn't really get a chance to talk about it because you guys still haven't seen it, I don't think, but it's a TV show. Squid Game.
Yes.
Yeah,
we
have not seen it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Squid Game is so good. It is my caveat for this list. I said that I had a caveat for it. Technically speaking, it came out in 2020, but it didn't come to the States until 2021.
Okay, got it. Right. I mean, there's no way the America at large experienced this show in 2021, right?
Exactly.
It became a phenomenon in America in 2021. So I think it counts.
Highly recommend it. It is outstanding. I'm surprised you guys still have avoided spoilers because I feel like it's everywhere now. But Squid Game is excellent. Highly recommend. If you haven't seen it yet, watch it with subtitles. Do not watch it dubbed. It annoyed me dubbed, and I didn't realize I had it first originally dubbed, but I went back to subtitles. Highly recommend it. You just need to read it. It's a thin little line. That's it. So, yeah, that's my soapbox for that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I will do my 4 and 3. Yeah, definitely 4 and 3, but some more honorable mentions. Hooray. So some honorable mentions that I have things I enjoyed. Muppets Haunted Mansion. I talked about this on a Halloween podcast that we did. So fun. And Will Arnett is so great to see, even though he cannot sing. I'm sorry, Will. Don't become a singer.
He just got a role in a movie replacing Armie Hammer.
He did? Oh,
Really?
wait, I thought that was somebody else.
Oh, yes. No, that's Will Arnett. No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes,
Good for you, Will.
Replacing Armie Hammer in a Taika Waititi film.
Oh, even better.
Because, Armie Hammer is a cannibal.
Yeah, Next Goal Wins. That's the movie.
Next Goal Wins. That's it. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, this actually is a really nice segue into another honorable mention, which is actually for another podcast with Will Arnett. It's Smartless. Will Arnett, Sean Hayes, and Jason Bateman. Just 3 friends talking to other celebrity friends of theirs or gushing over their own, superstar crushes, which include Ken Burns. If you have not heard of this podcast, it's fantastic. There are quite a few commercials, but you can just skip right through them.
Don't say that. You're not allowed to say that. Don't say that.
I did.
We have commercials. Don't do it.
What the fuck?
Get us money.
Smartless just has so many of them. There's like
they're loaded up. They're loaded up.
But it's a really great listen.
This one might be loaded up too.
Yeah, right. I was about to say, you can't. We shouldn't be complaining about podcasts lots of commercials.
Well, I did it anyway.
Okay.
And then the final honorable mention is Luca.
Yes, Luca.
So gorgeous Pixar film. Loved the story. Loved the characters. I want to live in this fictional slice of Italy that they have created. Also a really great example if you just want like summer in a film. Luca's got it for you. Yep. As for my number 4 and 5, 4 and 3. Number 4 is a documentary that recently came onto HBO Max. It's Street Gang: How We Got to Sesame Street, which is actually based on a book I read a couple years ago. And if the name doesn't
check that out, yeah,
the name doesn't give it away. It is about the creation of Sesame Street in 1969 and how it's continued on with its legacy and what it did, that was so innovative at the time, and what it continues to do. Everybody knows I love puppets, so of course I had to catch this. And then number 3 is, I guess, slightly cheating because we haven't finished it, but it's Peter Jackson's Get Back 3-part documentary on the Beatles. When they came together to record the album that would become Let It Be, and then later they will record what will become Abbey Road. I'm a Beatles fan, really enjoyed saw all of part 1, saw half of part 2. It's really fantastic. If you are a Beatles fan, this is a must watch. If you are curious about the Beatles, you're going to watch some really great moments where they create songs that are going to become some of the best things they've ever written. There is some parts where it's like they're just kind of fiddle-faddling around and having fun. but it really turns what we thought we knew about this period in the Beatles era around on its head. There was a documentary called Let It Be, that really it twisted what the narrative actually is. So this kind of sets a straighter story. And Yoko didn't deserve all that hate. Who knew?
Who knew? It wasn't.
It wasn't just Yoko.
Nope.
Damn you, Yoko, but
All
not
right.
really.
All right, who's up?
You.
It would be you, unless
Okay.
you got
All right.
nothing.
Cool.
What do you
all
got?
right. So this is a shout out. This is not an honorable mention. This is probably actually one of my top 5, maybe even top 3. But we had a whole episode for my part of it already, and that's The Green Knight. This is probably my favorite movie I watched this year. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm not gonna expand on it too much because I kind of hold to what I said in our previous podcast where I probably spent like 20-ish minutes talking about it. But yeah, I'm still thinking about it. I need to watch it again. This was definitely it's probably my favorite movie because I wasn't anticipating it, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like Dune, I knew I was gonna like, and I mean even the Spider-Man, which will come up in a little bit, I knew I was gonna like. This is definitely a different movie than what I'm used to watching. But it really drew me in. I'm still thinking about it, and it's it's such a fascinating take on this old medieval tale, right? I want to rewatch it again. So yeah, shout out to Green Knight. Hell yeah. Let's see.
Thanks, Kite Man.
Hell yeah. Okay. So probably my second favorite game that I've played this year. I don't know. It's tough to say. Top 3 game for sure. It's Halo Infinite. I was shocked by how much.
That's impressive since you only recently really got back
I know,
into
and
Halo.
I'm trying, and that's why I'm like qualifying it because it's definitely recency bias. This game and its multiplayer came out only a month ago, so pretty late into 2020.
Right. Yes. 2021, yes.
And I wasn't even really all that excited for it. It wasn't like I was like, oh man, Halo's gonna come out. I'm gonna be so pumped for it. They shadow dropped the multiplayer 3 weeks early, and I was like, sure, yeah, it's free. I'll download it. And that scene in Ratatouille where Ego is that the critic's name where he has
it's Ego.
He gets instantly transported back to his childhood. That was me playing Halo Infinite. I immediately felt like it was 2007 again, and I was booting up Halo 3 for the first time. And I just fell right back into it. I have been addicted to this multiplayer for weeks. Jill can attest. And I'm just chewing through the campaign now. And I have issues with it. I have qualms with it, but this is the first time I felt like I've really enjoyed a Halo game since Halo Reach and that was like 2010. And it's just it's comfort food for me. It's video game comfort food. The game, the Halo, it's on PC and Xbox. If you have access to it, the multiplayer is free to play. It's so easy to recommend that.
Sony's at your door. They're hunting
I know, right? No, they're pulling my shadow sponsor now.
Yeah, right.
And it really does feel like a great return to form. I think the actual narrative of the campaign so far seems kind of weak, but the whole campaign is open world, quote unquote, now, but the world itself is a little smaller than you think. So it's not like people were like, oh, it's like Halo meets Zelda Breath of the Wild. I'm like, no, it's not that. But it's still a really, they 343 Industries finally nailed the Halo, the 30-second gameplay loop, the fun gameplay loop of just going around shooting aliens, picking up power weapons, and wreaking havoc. And it feels good to be playing a good Halo game again. So
nice.
That's good to hear.
That's my big entry in the top 3, probably. Yep.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna do my number 2, and then we'll go around and do our number. We'll all do our number 2, and then we'll all do our number 1.
I still have to do my number 3. I did 4 and 5, 5 and 4.
You did 4 and 3.
I thought I did 5. What was my 5?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'll say a third. I'll say an extra thing just to be thorough.
Okay.
My number 2, because it's no surprise what my number 1 is. My number 2 is Spider-Man No Way Home.
And that's my number 3, so we're overlapping. Let's go.
Yeah. I thought you had your 3 already too.
No.
He's not even counting.
I don't even know. I kept Spider-Man for last because I thought you were going to bring it up later, so I didn't. I was like, I was just going through my list, checking stuff off, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave Spider-Man open in case Mike wants to bring it up later. So
Spider-Man is in my top. Spider-Man is in my top 3.
The Spider-Man.
Yes. Spider-Man No Way Home is number 2 for me.
Okay, so at the top, are we spoiling this? I don't know if there's a way to talk about this without spoiling it.
Go ahead.
No. I mean, like I want to.
I think that's an okay to go ahead to spoil it.
We're gonna spoil. I'm just warning.
Dive right in, baby. Dive right in.
Everybody. We're gonna warn everybody. I mean, at this point,
it's best of the year list. They're spoilers, y'all.
Yeah. Okay. I know,
exactly.
but I just
you knew what you were getting into when you clicked this.
Okay, fine. All right.
Podcast
you pretty
episode.
much knew what you were getting into when you saw this movie because you knew what was a possibility.
Yes. Yeah. Right. The very obvious.
If you have any imagination, you probably know what happened.
Yes.
Getting the band back together again.
This is absolutely Spider-Man Endgame, you know?
Yes, it is.
And I'm here for it. I really enjoyed it.
Into the Spider-Verse, but live action.
Yeah.
But the rumor is that Tobey Maguire is in Multiverse of Madness, and I really hope not.
Why not Andrew Garfield? He's the better, like he was the more entertaining
So I mean,
Spider-Man.
I feel like the rumor that started is because it's Sam Raimi, right? So it's like, of course, like, you know, they're playing to the idea of like, come back and be in my movie, my MCU
And Bruce Campbell's supposed to be in it.
He better be
That
in
would be
it.
great. I want Bruce Campbell.
I would hope that Bruce Campbell would be in it because of Sam Raimi and everything like that, but I just don't know. Yeah, because there's so much stuff with this one that is now like laid out for you, kind of. I don't know. There's a lot that has to be covered in this movie, and to try to get a Bruce Campbell cameo, I mean, you could do it, you could pull it off, but it's a lot.
All right, so we're talking about Multiverse of Madness. Let's talk about Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see the Spider-Man back together.
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, all of them.
This felt like kind of the Garfield redemption arc.
It definitely was the Garfield redemption movie. Not that I've seen Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2.
Boy,
but
we're planning on watching.
Though.
What's that?
I don't think he needs redemption. I think the movies need redemption, but Andrew Garfield doesn't need redemption.
So right.
He needs a hug. That's what that man needs.
Right. Yeah. He needs to be told it's not his fault. It's okay. You know?
Because clearly no one's telling him that.
Yeah.
I loved Andrew Garfield. I thought he was great as Spider-Man, even though the movies sucked.
My umbrage with the first one, and I don't think he played it poorly. I just think it was the way it was written, is that his Peter Parker is too cool for school for me in the first one. I think it's closer. I think once we see him in Amazing Spider-Man 2, where he's the more seasoned Peter Parker, that makes a little more sense. But in the first movie, I didn't like his Peter Parker as much, you know?
Fair.
But, you know, and
he was cool.
Badly acted, you know?
No, well, exactly. That's what I'm saying is it's the writing. So,
yes.
Again, I think Andrew Garfield did fine.
Yeah.
The villains were great. The fact that Alfred Molina even said that he just did this for a paycheck, he still was one of my favorite parts of this whole thing.
Yeah.
I need to address something on the podcast.
What?
Episode 2 of the podcast. We're going way back.
All right, I wasn't even around.
This is pre-Jill.
Wow.
I said,
Andre, do you even remember Life Before Me?
I was about to say, wow, I was single and ready to mingle back then, huh? Wow. Anyways,
so this is pre-Jill. I said after seeing Aquaman that Willem Dafoe needed to stop acting.
Whoa!
Oh no!
Wow, that must also have been before you saw Lighthouse too.
Yes, right. That was before Lighthouse came out too. Yeah.
Yes, because in Aquaman he was just hokey and over the top and annoying. I take it all back.
Forgive me, Willem.
Performance.
Well,
forgive me, Willem Dafoe.
He fucking nailed it, man, and it's clear that he's having such a blast playing that role again.
Oh my god, he was so happy to play that role. So I take it back, Willem Dafoe. I still think you were not great in Aquaman, but I don't think you need to retire from acting anymore.
That's good.
So.
Yeah. No, this movie, it's hard to like, I don't know if I could call it a capital GM good movie or whatever, but like my smile, I was smiling the whole time watching this movie. It was such a fun experience. And
wait, you smiled when Aunt May died, you monster.
Yes,
What's
I was
wrong
laughing.
with you?
I was cackling. Will finally.
Marissa Tomei, die.
But yeah, it was just such a fun watch, and
yes,
a love
very
letter
glad
to
I
all
went and
fans.
saw this in theaters. Spider-Man No Way Home, highly recommend if you haven't seen it yet, but now you know everything.
I'm going to jump in on this just because I also have Spider-Man in my top 3. I really enjoyed it. It's not a perfect film. There are a few characters that villain characters from the past films that got pulled in that are effectively useless. I'm looking at you, Sandman.
Well, sorry, yeah, Sandman. Did they actually not get the guy to play? I forget who's the actor.
I think that was him.
Well,
no, that was him.
But they probably they voiced. I think they got him in the booth, so they probably got him for 4 hours or whatever.
No, but he physically shows up.
But he physically shows up. That's stock footage, though, isn't it?
I didn't think it was stock footage.
I could have sworn it was stock footage, like because you only see him,
No, they had to de-age him.
Maybe no. So like, okay, with Sandman, he's obviously he's Sandy the whole time, right? So he's all CGI.
Sandman is Sandy.
Well, but you know what I mean, though. Like
me?
he's not, but he only when he's quote unquote cured at the end, and he's in the Statue of Liberty, like like he looks out, and that's the only thing you see of him. I'm pretty sure that footage of him was stock footage.
If it was, it further reinforces why he was superfluous to this movie.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, all right, that's fair.
But yeah,
my thing with him was I thought he was real, but the problem is, so they wanted him to look like old him, so they had to de-age him.
Okay. Well, they did. They were de-aging. They de-aged Molina and Defoe, right? Both of them.
Yeah, it's still Thomas Hayden Church. He's put on a lot of weight too.
Oh, has he? Okay, got it.
Yeah, and he also has a beard.
So maybe it was stock footage of his old face.
That's what I'm saying. Is that
That's
like
possible.
If they de-aged him, then they used some technology of stock footage.
Yeah.
But that aside, I really enjoyed. We all enjoyed No Way Home. I'm very excited to see what this means for Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man. Very confused about how this works with Venom. Let There Be Carnage, because I have not seen any of them. But one of the post-credit scenes shows Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock watching on TV, and he gets snapped back to, I guess, his dimension, but he leaves a little bit of the symbiote. So is that it for Eddie Brock? Or are we ever going to see Tom Holland and Eddie Brock together? How does that fit in? What about Morbius, the vampire who's not Dracula? I don't know.
Also has the Vulture.
Yeah, so many questions. And I'm excited to see where this goes, but my head hurts thinking about it.
It's very screwy.
Yeah. Also, one final thing about No Way Home. Peter Parker, you only applied to 3 colleges. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, who does that? 14. I applied to 8. Like,
I was a theater major, and they told me to apply to 10 to 12 to maybe get 1 or 2, because I also had to audition for the program. So I applied to 14.
But that's like a very in your case, that's a very specific program. We don't, for Peter Parker, like, I feel like he was just like, I know I want to go to MIT because that's where my friends want to go to. And then let's throw in 2 other possibly Ivy Leagues. I don't remember if we saw the names, but you don't apply for 3 schools. Come on.
But it's so weird now because, like, in the comics and the video game, he went to Empire State just because it was like it was a fake college in New York.
Yeah, it was a fake college. It's basically NYU, but they don't have to pay them to have it in there, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it just throws me off now that he goes to MIT.
Or CUNY.
MIT, yeah.
Yeah. Whatever.
Spider-Man, 2 thumbs up.
What's your number 2? Then if you didn't do number 3, you said it was in your top 3.
It's in my top 3. So my number 2 is going to be Arcane.
Okay. Wow.
It was mentioned. It was mentioned by Andre already. I loved Arcane. I loved the way it looked. I loved the way it sounded. I liked the plot was really good. They subverted a lot of plot possibilities.
I was wondering why you weren't chiming in. I was like, wow,
I love it.
Yeah. Please.
That makes sense.
It was great. And then I'll give an honorable mention to a video game that definitely did not come out in 2021 or possibly in the 2020s at all. But I played it in 2021 and I freaking loved it, and that is Xenoblade Chronicles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think it came out in 2009 originally, but
it did. And then the remaster, which you played, came out in 2020.
There
But
we
yeah,
go. Close enough.
yeah.
My roommate played that in college. I remember that.
So good. I have a poster now that
Yep.
is of Guar Plains, which is not my favorite place in Xenoblade, but you
It's
know
what
what?
they had, man.
It's what they have, man. And it was, if you like Japanese RPGs and you haven't checked this one out, it's great. It's fully voice acted by a British cast. Future Doctor Who companion, not Jenna Coleman. No, it is Jenna Coleman.
It's Jenna
She's
Coleman,
in
yeah.
it. I was like, I
You
don't
threw
want
me
to
off
get her.
on that,
Well, it was
'cause I
so-
like, I knew Jenna
No, it's Jenna Coleman. I didn't want to get her confused with another British
Right, and
actress
then like
lady.
it's a small
Yeah.
tangent, but the reason it's an all British cast is because so this is a Nintendo property. It's like they call
Yeah.
it second party. Nintendo owns like distributing rights to the studio, and so Nintendo of America, when the game first came out, they didn't pick it up. Right, they thought this isn't going to do well enough in America. We're not going to bother localizing it. But Nintendo of Europe picked it up instead. So all the voice actors they brought in were ones they had in house, which were all British. So it's just it's a cool RPG because you hear voices in this anime game that you don't usually hear,
Mhm.
Right.
because they don't go by the old standbys. Not that the old standbys are bad. I like hearing those voices too, but it gives Xenoblade Chronicles 1 a very unique flavor on the dub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a great game. Yeah, like Jill said,
Yeah.
like it takes a game of high quality for somebody to stick with it for, I don't know, you probably played it close to 90-ish hours, Jill.
I can tell you right now, I have my Switcher in front of me.
Yeah,
I didn't want to say Olivia Coleman because sometimes I
That's what it. Yeah. Okay.
flip
yeah.
the names.
Yeah.
I've
No, you were
definitely.
right about Jenna Coleman. Yeah.
I think I sunk over 120 hours into
Whew.
it. So,
Jeez.
yeah,
It's a long game, but it's high
120
quality.
hours well spent though.
Yes.
I really
right.
enjoyed it. So that's my number 2. Arcane is my official number 2. So if
Nice.
we want to wrap it around back to Andre, what's
Andre.
your number 1?
All
No,
right.
wait, Mike, wait, did you go?
No, Andre number 2.
My number 2 was, well, my number 2/3 was Halo and Spider-Man. I'm not gonna lie, right?
Okay,
So
all
I'm
right.
now I'm down to one final thing, right?
Okay.
Do
Do you want to start us, or do
Do
you
I
want me
fire
to
it
go?
off?
I mean, wait, I have one final good thing, and then I've got a list of not honorable mentions.
Mine's very anticlimactic for my
Okay.
number 1.
Okay. So my
I
number.
think we
It
can-
sounds like I'm going to do my number 1. Do I do my number
Yeah.
1?
Do it.
Sure.
Okay. My favorite thing that I consumed this year is Metroid Dread for the Nintendo
Yes.
Switch.
I'm
It
still
is.
very early in the process, but it's been a blast so far.
Oh, you have it. You got it.
Yes, we talked
Okay.
about this last episode.
Oh, that's right. We did. Yes. Okay, cool. Right. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Yeah. Metroid Dread is my game of the year for 2021.
That's awesome.
I love this. I love Metroid as a series since I grew up with it. It's right there next to Zelda for me in terms of my favorite Nintendo series. And Metroid Dread is the first wholly new Metroid game in 2D Metroid game in 19 years, right? So
Yeah.
all the other 2D game, like the last 2D game we got was a remake of Metroid 2 Samus Returns, which is also fine. It was good on the 3DS. That was a fun game. I really liked that too. This is maybe the same studio,
Okay.
and it feels like just what they really want. Like it feels unshackled by the constraints of the 3DS.
Nice.
It's everything Samus Returns was, but just 100% better. Samus as a character is super fun to inhabit. She totally lets you live out the power fantasy of exploring this alien world, finding cool upgrades, facing super tough bosses, using those upgrades in creative and unique ways that make you feel like this ultimate badass. It feels great to play. The story itself is whatever, it's fine there, whatever, but like the cutscenes are fun. You get to see Samus totally kick ass. And yeah, I don't know. I would say the only small disappointing thing about this is that the music isn't at the supreme awesome level of the other series. Like they're like most of the other Metroid games, I can listen to their soundtrack like all the time. I have those tunes burned into my brain. Metroid Dread's music didn't quite reach that level for me, but everything else about it, the gameplay, the visuals, the exploration, all the new items, it was such a blast to play. It feels great to have Metroid back. It echoes a lot of similar thoughts that I have with Halo, where it feels good playing an old series again, but all the more because it sounds like this game is selling really well, and Metroid historically has not done the greatest. So which is why we have such which is why it's been 19 years since there's been a new Metroid game, really, or 2D Metroid. So
2D Metroid. Yeah.
It's
Nice.
yeah, I don't know. It's probably my second favorite Metroid game next to Metroid Prime 2, and it's just I can't recommend this game enough. It sounds like I don't have much to say about it because there's really not much I don't like about it. It was, and it's a tight 10-hour experience. It didn't feel bloated. I didn't usually, honestly, I play a lot of video games. I get tired I get tired playing them and I never really beat them, even though I enjoy them.
This one committed to Red Dead Redemption.
I know,
2.
right? Yes, I fired Red Dead Redemption 2 again, and that's an example of that, right? Where that's a really good game. I bought it when it came out, got probably 7 or like 3/4 of the way through it, dropped it. I just downloaded it again, started up again. I have no idea if I'm ever going to beat it, but Metroid is not one of those games. I beat that game twice in like 2 weeks, basically. I love that game so much. Yeah. There we go. Favorite thing of 2021. Done.
All right, my favorite thing of 2021, shocker to everyone, is Pig.
Pig.
Nicolas Cage movie. It still resonates with me. It was so freaking good. Just his understated performance, because I expected ultra violence. Like I said on our previous episode, I don't need to dive into it anymore because I've said it all before. But Pig still resonates with me. I hope he gets a nomination for Best Actor because he truly deserves it. This
was Nick Cage, by the way, in case you haven't. No one.
Yes, Nick Cage, and then Alex Wolff. If he gets a supporting actor, I wouldn't be shocked. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, both of them were excellent in this. But Nick Cage deserves a Best Actor nominee, for sure. Even if he doesn't win, he deserves a Best Actor nomination at least. So that is my number one of 2021.
Where is this? Is this on anywhere? Pig.
It is now on Hulu.
It's on Hulu.
Yes, it is now on Hulu since December.
Okay. All right, I'll watch it.
Yeah. So highly recommend. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
So,
Jill?
so for my number one, I'm going to do an honorable mention. Green Knight is very loved that film. Very happy I got to see that in a theater. But since it was already mentioned, I'll do something that has not, and that's Ted Lasso season 2.
Yeah,
which I know is a little cheating because I think it came out right at the end of 2020.
The show came out in 2020. The season was
this season was this
okay,
summer.
Good. So yeah, then my memory of the timeline. So yeah, the first season dropped in 2020 and it was like a slice of heaven and amidst the darkness. And then season 2 came out this year over the summer, I believe. And it was great. There's
August or September was the Christmas episode.
Yes,
yeah, but I think I thought it started in June. I think the second season actually started in June.
August or September they did the Christmas episode, and it was like a Christmas episode in August or September. Okay,
why not Christmas in July? Or August in this case.
You do you.
Yeah. So with the exception of possibly one episode that I actually really, really like, this is a really tight season with a great overarching story for multiple characters that has a really great payoff in the final episode. The one episode that's not as good actually follows one character, Coach Beard, pretty much exclusively. And a lot of people didn't like it because it was very different and weird. I actually loved it. And
I was in the weird camp.
You were in the. I thought it was delightfully weird, and I think it sheds a lot of insight into his character. And I hope we get more. I don't want that to be the one-off where it's like we see him be vulnerable and all of that, and recognize that there are problems around him, and then from here on out, well, we dealt with it. He's got his own things. It's kept under the beard. We'll never see it again. All the characters, just having them around made some very stressful points of the later part of 2021 feel better. I look forward to seeing more. I think they only have one more season left in their contract.
Yes.
I personally want them to do like a Ted Lasso-esque anthology series where once Ted Lasso ends, they wait a year or two and then they do another fish out of water story. Maybe a British coach who does like cricket comes over to the United States and has to coach a basketball team. Something like that. I don't know.
You had baseball, right?
I was about to say baseball would be the closer analog.
Well, I want a basketball story. So
Okay.
All right. No, okay.
digging my heels in. But yeah, Ted Lasso season 2 is my number one thing of 2021. I do have a list of like dishonorable mentions. I don't know if this is the time, but
let's go quick. But yeah, let's get it. Dishonorable mentions of 2021.
Dishonorable mentions with the quick caveat that it doesn't necessarily mean that they are hot garbage. It means I was disappointed in them. So here we go. Eternals. We've
Yeah.
talked about it.
Yes.
Sad face. Army of the Dead.
Ugh.
I liked parts
Same.
of it, but then it just kept going.
I
and
listened back to
going
my
and
piece
going.
on it. I don't think I was negative enough on it. That movie soured on me over the months. So
Yeah.
That movie is too long with too many characters, but it peaks very early.
very early.
Yes.
And then it just continues to
just
live.
watch the opening credits.
Yeah,
scene.
wait.
Done.
As
Yeah.
soon as
Once the title drops, you can stop watching.
No,
You watch
no,
the
no.
first part.
No, as soon as they get into Las Vegas, stop
Okay,
watching.
sure. Okay,
Because
no
you
Okay.
got to
Fair.
get the part where they have like the vision of like
Yep.
how it's going to go perfectly.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
hilarious.
You're right.
Okay. And then finally, and it really pains me to say this, is Cowboy Bebop live action.
Yeah.
I'm still working my way through it. I'm enjoying the actors. I'm enjoying the visuals.
It's
but
clear there's a lot
the
of
writing.
passion put into this. You know.
It's the
Yeah.
writing.
Yeah. It just didn't work at all.
Yeah,
At
it's
all.
unfortunate. I'm sad that they're at least not going to get that. They can't even finish out what they were going to do.
Yeah.
It's going to
Right.
end. Season 1 is it. But hey, you know what? Emily Paris got a second season, and now they've pissed off an entire country. So good on you, Netflix. You really picked the right horse there. So that's my dishonorable mentions list.
Andre, do you have quick dishonorable mentions?
No, I mean honestly, Jill hit most of those because we watched
Okay.
a lot of the things together. So yeah, honestly,
I
I
agree
ditto
with
what Jill said.
Yeah, I agree with Army of the Dead being a dishonorable mention. I also have to include Space Jam 2, A New
Yes.
Legacy.
I didn't even
okay.
write that on
I
my
forgot
list.
about that movie because I mentally blocked it out.
Hot garbage.
Hey man,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if there's anybody on this planet that would have liked Space Jam 2, it probably would have been me. I'm a big
Yeah.
LeBron guy.
I'm really
did not
happy
like
I
this
didn't
movie.
get you any Space Jam 2 themed stuff for Christmas.
It was not good. And I mean, you know, Mitchell and I talked about this. The worst thing that movie did was it literally like the whole main conflict revolves around LeBron being a bad dad, which
Yep.
makes no sense. Like it's
Yep.
counter to his public image at least, right? So yikes.
Well, that'll do it for this episode of the best and a little bit of the worst of 2021 for media. I have been your host, Mike. I have been joined by
Andre.
And Jill.
We'll see you for many adventures in 2022 for Game for a Movie, where we ask, are you game for a movie? Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Dr. Andreas Michaelitis, Chief Psychologist at Noom. But what's Noom and why does Noom need a Chief Psychologist? Noom is a weight loss program that works, with results that last. Because we know that changing the way you eat starts with your mind. With Noom's proven psychology-backed tools, one-on-one coaching, and flexible plans that emphasize progress over perfection, you'll have the tools you need to change your relationship with food. So sign up at Noom.com now and lose the weight for good. That's Noom.com.